live and direct right before I go and set up a new office somewhere else. So this is going to be a fun. It's almost like a farewell episode type, not really an episode things. We don't really do these regularly, but just a place for us to get content.
I know, like this could be the last time that we actually sit down together and have a good chat for quite some time, because you're moving. I loved how you described it as moving away from your spawn point.
Yeah.
The point of, yeah.
I've lived here my whole life, the thing is, nothing wrong with staying where you were born. But
I was born in Southampton as well.
Big ups.
Yeah.
But I still haven't done any proper travelling yet, and Manchester's not exactly travelling. It's still in the UK, but never actually stayed long enough to experience anywhere, and yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. And then I got scared that I wasn't doing enough. So I'm 30s are approaching real rapid right now. So I'm just like,
just wait until you get to 33 going on 34. I, over the last 3 years, have experienced so much that actually, if I could speak to my 29-year-old self, there would be so much knowledge I would share with myself, which would probably terrify me.
All right, yeah, let's go through those then, because I feel like this is going to be a good segment to go off of this, because this both of us are at quite change points in life, right? So it's because you've done a lot of new stuff, I've done a lot of new stuff. What are some things you tell yourself way back when?
That you are unstoppable. So I had a dream. So I dreamt that one day I would lead a company. When I left Gattaca, which is a really large, very well-respected recruitment company, I think it was 5 years ago now, and I set up my own thing. I thought, and I dreamt how nice it would be to just run a company with just 10 people. Maybe when I'm 50, that'll happen. And I'm now 33. Met that goal.
Way ahead of the game.
Yeah, time to upgrade those goals.
Yeah.
And I say it to my team all the time, and I'm so proud of some of the individuals in my business. So I have one guy that came in as an apprentice. He could barely speak. He spoke with a lisp, was so shy. And I sat there and I had this lump in my throat, because I was like, this guy's applied for an apprenticeship, but he can barely speak.
Out of pure nerves, language barrier.
So he was from Poland,
yeah,
and he moved here when he was, I think, 6 or 7, and thrown just straight into an English school.
That's not easy. My other half had to do that from Nigeria. It's not easy.
Yeah, so quite traumatizing if you don't know any English, being thrown into an English school.
Yeah.
And so I think his communication skills, I don't know, we worked with him. And I sat there with a lump in my throat the day before I offered him the job, thinking, would any other recruitment business leader, where your business relies on effective communication, give this guy a job? And I thought, you're doing the wrong thing. I really doubted myself and my decision. But I was like, if you want to come and give it a go, the job's yours. It was an apprentice wage, which, is really affordable for a business.
Yeah.
And at the time, I just wanted to grow, and I was very excited. And we've now literally today just given him his 3rd promotion in 2 years.
Hell yeah.
And he's just had a record-breaking quarter for the business.
Shouts out, bro.
He knows who he is.
Yeah. Nice.
Amazing. And being able to have people like that come into my business and achieve so much. The guy's 22, and next year he'll probably buy his first house.
That's so cool.
Nuts.
Especially in today's day and age. Nuts.
That's why I do this.
Yeah. And fair play. Because you had that dream from the beginning, though. 10 people coming in, that's what I want to run, right? You've obviously surpassed that now. When you got to that point of 10, what are some things that you didn't think would be a thing? What are the problems that you encountered or things that you learned that you didn't see coming?
It doesn't matter how many people you employ. That has zero indication of your success.
Yes.
I would say what matters, and so there's another business owner in Southampton, and she is incredible. And she just it's not even revenue, it's profit. So she got to £1 million in profit with 6 people.
Swish.
Like,
Love that.
if I could trade places with her, I wouldn't, because obviously I love my business and I, love what I've got going on.
Yeah.
But that deserves a round of applause.
Flowers. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names because you might not want, all of her details.
Don't want her revenue stats out there. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like the business delivered £1 million profit.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And she's a majority shareholder, so well done to her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of story. That's my next goal. It's actually, it's not about the ego, how many people you employ, because that doesn't matter.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to learn that lesson though? And like,
I don't know if I've even learned it.
Yeah, I mean, like conquering your ego in business, and it's like ego sometimes has a negative connotation to it, right? Like, it's not necessarily that like we do things because we absolutely need to succeed and we'll trample anyone to get there. It's more of like these are the things that are imprinted in our head, are the things that are supposed to make us successful, like the amount of people, like the type of clients you have,
like the revenue,
but the profit and revenue, really, that's what it comes down to. I've definitely learned not obviously the cost lesson, but the size of the team lesson. Like, my original vision was to set out to create an in-person company, the next social chain, everyone's in the office, we've got a slide and ball pit and all this stuff. And it's just like, as it started to grow, first of all, I realised that this is 100% not what I want at all, like, as I was doing it, but then didn't want to admit it to myself that I didn't want it, because technically everything was going really well at that point. So how can you turn around on what you're doing, especially when you believe in the vision, or you've told yourself, you bought yourself into it, you sell yourself on something, and now you sold it to others, and now people believe in you. Now you're just kind of like, I can't go back now.
I've bossed it too hard, now I've got to go to work.
Flown too close to the sun, and now we're just going. So I've definitely learned that lesson, and now I much prefer a leaner model that's just focusing much more things outside of work now, because I feel like I've done my insane in the books time,
Absolutely. Like, the subject of ego is actually how destructive can your ego be? Like, I was talking to someone about something I got into where, like, my ego wouldn't let me take no for an answer. And that was probably quite destructive. Maybe I upset some people. But actually, it's that ego that's got me here.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, I always look at it like the dark side in Star Wars. Like, it's very powerful, but it will corrupt if you use it too much. But a lot of the time, like, that's a lot of the reasons we start our businesses, though. Pure frustration and, like,
ego, thinking we can do it better
and want to do more. Yeah. And I'm like, would I have gotten there in a Zen way? I don't actually know. I feel like there might be a balance there.
Yeah, I think.
Because would I have the want for anything if I was perfectly okay?
If you didn't have your ego.
If I didn't have a bag of chips on my shoulder, then would I care?
Oh yeah, like, my ego's got me really, really far. From a business standpoint, and yes, it does have its dark side. But I'm happy with who I am. Like, I know I've got an ego, but I know I'm competitive, and I know that I'm driven, and I actually inspire some of the people in my business. And the other day, someone said, "You're really inspirational," and I just thought, "Oh, absolutely not. I'm not really." Like, who are you talking to? Is there someone behind me?
Yeah.
And it was a lady in my yoga class, and it was after the International Women's Day event where I was speaking, and I thought, actually, no, I just kind of went, thanks. It's really kind. Like, I'm going to own that. Like, because actually feeling part of a business community and included is such a blessing, because there's been moments in my career where I felt out like a complete weirdo, like thrown out, kicked out. And in those moments you literally feel so maybe depressed. So
it's a big shift in your reality, right? And because you're in charge of your own fate, you have to choose to be part of a community and take part in it. And I'm awful at being antisocial, and then just terrible at, like, I can't be asked to do anything, or, like, be not. Of course, I'm friendly, but, like, I'm not going to be the guy that stays afterwards to chat. like I'm going straight home, right?
But I think
but in
that
I isolate myself in the same time.
I think that unavailability though does you favours, because I'm the opposite. I always just love to stay and chat.
Yeah. But it creates more opportunity for you, though, because that's how you build real connections and networking. That's the definition of networking. I'm the definition of as soon as they don't pay me, I'm out. I treat this way too much like I'm just an employee, when it's the wrong mindset to have.
But I don't necessarily think so. I think that's potentially really efficient. Like, lots of people know who I am in Southampton. But that's not necessarily, like in Southampton, in the aviation community as well, obviously. That's my industry, and I'm a recruiter by trade. But, you know, being a network, like, you know, going to networking events and really getting out there is part of what my job was before, you know, running this business. I was a recruitment consultant, so part of the job is actually networking.
Yeah.
And having so many people know who you are gives you a lot of pressure, because one fuck up and someone signs you off as the person that fucked up.
Yeah, it's obviously similar in our business as well, like in marketing. Like when people have bad experiences with agencies, I've had a lot of clients come to me going, "Oh, last agency was," and I'm like, oh boy, like sometimes it's not always the agency, but also like you don't want to make those mistakes, you know. And a lot of the time it's a communications thing, an expectations thing, and depending on the type of business you're talking to, you charge one amount, they expect the world. You charge one amount, they're like, can't believe we got it that cheap. It all just depends on the type of organisation you're talking to and the people within it. But that's our prospecting thing that.
Well, yeah,
podcast.
Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, because I think actually in your career you can really be forgiven for lots of things. Like there was a lady that at a time when I was going through some stuff, I'd just lost my granddad, and I was going through some stuff, and I was in a sales-led role, and so it was her job to get the best out of me. And at that point in time, I was not giving my best, and I took it really personally. And in my head at the time, I was just so, like, I projected my frustration on her. And that created a huge amount of conflict. Fast forward 5 years, and she's an absolute inspiration to me. We talk regularly.
Yeah.
And so I think actually there's a lot that we can learn from conflict. And I think actually the most genuine relationships that are out there come with conflict.
Oh, yeah. Because it's the same as like a family or sibling relationship, isn't it? It's like once you get to that level, you're comfortable with conflict. You know that person just won't immediately leave. Like, because when someone's an acquaintance, you just don't talk to them again. But if someone's like an actual friend, you can argue and it's still fine. Like, it's a nice position to be in.
I think conflict is so healthy. Because also I think having conflict, having the opportunity to reflect on it, and also seeing who those people that stick by you in moments of tension, tell you a lot about people. Definitely, like there's some people that I would, you know, bend over backwards to help because I know they've had my back. And, you know, it's not about how big their business is or what they've done. Like, I know that actually they were the one to like reach out and say hello. Like, those kind of things are really, really mean a lot to me. Maybe like in business,
You're just emotionally intelligent.
Well, maybe I'm just too emotional, but I don't think I am. I love my emotions.
I think you're just in tune with who you are. It's getting spiritual, man, you know?
Yeah, woo-woo.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually launching, and this is not even a segue.
Plug. Here we go.
I know, check it out. I'm actually launching a astrology business consultancy.
Yes, I knew you'd turn that into something, because I was always so fucking curious on all that stuff. So, all right, walk me through it. What's the deets?
Okay, so I'm going to actually I've just joined Old Bond Store.
Nice. Shouts out.
Yeah, Liam Doe, and actually I've been real hard to get from a perspective of 2 years ago when I was here. I was approached to go and look down at Old Bond Store, and I had a look, and it was a really exciting community.
Yeah.
But I couldn't justify the spend because I was here.
Yeah, because you had your whole team here, didn't you? There was a lot of people. So.
And, you know, Barclays Eagle Labs is an amazing network. Amazing. They support you. They have loads of programs. It's an amazing space. And there's, you co-work with a bunch of founders that are so inspirational and motivational. And, that's where we met. That's how we became buddies.
Yeah. Network don't lie.
Yeah. So, shout out to them. And then, so at the time I didn't really have a need for that. And then I moved over to the Bulb, which is in a really amazing office space.
Really up and coming there as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And, there's people there that really make that place amazing. But because it is separated office space, as it stands at the moment, there's not really a co-working area. It's more individual offices.
Yeah.
I found a need to they say that you're the sum of the
People
5 people you...
by.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's go and see who I can find in Southampton. And there's some incredible people.
Yeah.
There are some incredible professionals down at Old Bond Store. So
100%.
a little plug, go get yourself down there.
Yeah, there's basically the centre of Southampton's business community. Like, if you're not either Eagle Labs or Old Bond, you're not really anywhere, kind of. Especially if you need to know people, though. That's the thing.
Well, let us know in
the
comments.
Place.
Let us know in the comments if there's another place you'd go.
Well, Clockwise did just launch its second half, so maybe there's a lot going on in there. But again, it's so new that, and there's a lot of separated space. So it's.
I think we'd need to ask Nella what she thinks.
Yeah, you need to get Nella on your show next. Have you not already?
No, next time I'm seeing Nella is at Venture Fest.
Yes.
Because Nella's a speaker.
Good place to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking at Venture Fest. Nella's speaking at Venture Fest.
Excellent.
So I'll see her there. She's amazing.
What are you speaking about?
I've got a keynote spot. Very excited.
Keynote spot. Plug number 3. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We'll loop back to the other stuff. But
yeah.
Venture Fest, I've been asked to talk about the life of an innovator, which will be so fun because I'll have my Barclays Eagle Lab crowd down there. We'll have the Bulb crowd, and I get to talk for 5 minutes about my journey.
Love that.
How fun is that going to be?
It is cool. Yeah, and it's so are you going to go just like from the heart because it's 5 minutes, or are you going to prepare something?
I'm definitely going to prepare because I think it's a serious thing. Like,
couple bullet points will do.
Well, yeah, you want to if you've been given the honour of a speaker spot, you've got to really prepare and give it the attention it deserves. And Venture Fest is it's a serious show in Southampton. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Alongside the Hampshire Business Show, shouts out Josh Mitchell. Yeah.
Hey, Josh.
And Chris. I find a lot of success going to events because events is one thing we have a lot of our success when doing talks and me just being at events. I'm terrible at actually just travelling to go to them. Like, do you allocate a certain amount of spend every year to go, right, we're going to go to this one. These are our hot spots. And does it pay off in terms of return on investment?
This is something that we should monitor more. But our business development is a combination of, telephone, building rapport. But actually a lot of our lead generation comes from those shows. Yeah. And you can get a lot of learning. You can meet loads of people. And actually I've got, just being part of a network that throws parties at these events. So yeah, the Aviation Network Group, or the ANG, what the whole point of it is they do events for single people that go to these shows, or smaller companies that all want to chip in, and that it's a really great event that becomes very exclusive. But actually, it doesn't matter if you're big or small, you can still get involved.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I've known just from that network. I've got huge amounts of business, not from the people I know in there, but the people that they know. Yeah. And I've said, can I have this? Could you recommend me as one of the best recruiters in aerospace? And they did. Yay.
There you go. No, because it's definitely something where I want to make a roadmap of places I'm willing to go to and actually make an effort to go to these places. Because I know it's been successful for us previously, but it's also allocating the yearly budget to do so. Because it's just you'd be surprised they can rack up costs. Have you ever sponsored events as well?
I have, yeah. I sponsored a Aviation Network Group event.
Nice.
And I actually sponsored the people that set it up. I sponsored it the moment they set it up. Because first of all, it was an absolute steal for me. Yeah. As a small business, I was like, yeah, well, sure.
I've always wondered if they worked.
Gave me so much exposure. And do you know how exciting it was me as like this small new business owner going to like this big networking party in Dubai and having my logo was next to Etihad Engineering Services. And I was just like, wow, this is a exciting moment. And it was just like, I'd paid for that sponsorship.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I was overwhelmed at how my ego loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those ones that would kick your imposter syndrome into overdrive, that. But no, really, really cool moment as well. Like, I need to make an effort of, do you often like either take physical note or mental note of the achievements you've had over the years? Or do they all start to blend into one? Because I've found that reflecting is sometimes difficult because I'm like, it's just work. When actually people look at us in a slightly different way.
Thinking of all the milestones, like I'm plagued with a really good memory.
Oh, lucky you.
For good or bad. I remember the people that made the effort to sponsor me.
Yeah. And does that good memory help you sit there and acknowledge the good moments and good milestones? Or do you find it hard to acknowledge your achievements?
I get overwhelmed thinking about it. Like, and also my head will just get bigger and bigger because I try.
It's a good thing. At least you can actually, like, feel it. At least
I can recognise my own arrogance. How lovely.
Yeah. It's all right for a little bit, isn't it?
I try and translate it into confidence because and more recently I've felt more and more empowered and more confident because anyone that you upset, I feel like if you're a good person, anyone you upset, there'll be 3 people that you make feel good. Maybe even 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So like, I would say as long as you don't upset more people than you empower,
simple maths,
or that you're nice to, then you'll be okay. That's kind of my philosophy.
Honestly, I've noticed lately that the times I enjoy work most are the random phone call inquiries we get for people that I know full well have no budget. They just need help. I had a guy, I think it was a couple of days ago.
And you're so good at those little tidbits of ideas and information.
Because I know exactly the things that can help them get started for free. Because I had to do them for free as well. And I was that lunatic spend until God knows what time at night, like researching early hours, like TikTok, YouTube, finding everything possible.
Finding all the stats.
Yeah.
And that's why you're respected.
Yeah. But I just enjoy helping people the most in those just like one-to-one interactions. Like
it's almost like pro bono.
Yeah. The bigger it gets and the more like hefty the campaigns get, like the more kind of bored I get with it a little bit. It's like I prefer just going, oh, have you tried this thing yet? Because people don't know the potential they have. People don't understand.
You're meant to be an investor.
Well, maybe. Because that's what I've got to get money first. Money.
Well, you've got to flip it. You hustle until you can become an investor, and then once you're an investor, that's when you can help the next generation of startups through.
Yeah, so I've noticed that it's that consulting part of it is what I enjoy most, but I don't really care about charging people for it, but doing that stuff has probably got us to where we are, and it's kept our business going 3 years, 4 months later, as opposed to anything else. So I remember I tackled it from a very cold and calculated point of view in the beginning. It was right. Let me figure out
how much money do you have?
Yeah, marketing qualified leads. How many do I need to get through there? Let's say we have a 10% conversion rate. I had the whole stats worked out of a spreadsheet. It was the most boring thing on earth, and I was doing like hard cold outreach to plugging in the numbers, and I was just like, this is soul sucking, boring work.
Yeah.
And then I just went, all right, what if I just talk to 5 new people a week, no matter what they do? And then that just changed like my worldview, and it was much, much more fun. So I think I'm just going to start doing that again, because I haven't done it in a while, because, as the business grows, you get more responsibilities, you get pulled away from what got you started. I think I should go back to doing that, because it's just fun and I help people.
I love just chatting to people and spotting like what could work for them. Like I was at a meeting this morning.
Yeah.
And there's some really, really exciting things going on at Tech Solent.
Yes.
And the opportunity to get involved with them is there. And just seeing what they're doing and getting excited about it, and actually seeing how I can help, or people I can connect them with that can help them, is really exciting to be able to get involved at that level. It's nice.
Yeah. And it's good that those communities are about as well, to actually interact with. Yeah, they're really cool. I know the guys over at Tech Solent, they're nice. They're cool. They're cool.
Yeah, give them a follow.
Yeah, definitely. Follow Tech Solent on LinkedIn, is where they do a lot of their stuff. because that's what we talked about last time, funnily enough, the opportunities they have on there. I told them they need a podcast, which makes a lot of sense.
Wow, that's such a good idea. And so, yeah, I'm actually meeting with them with a couple of ideas of
bring it up again,
what they can do. I'll bring that up because
yeah.
I think actually a tech-solent podcast would be really popular.
That one of the things it gives them leverage on, they have some insane potential because they have so many businesses paying in the levy, and all businesses want more feet through the door. Let's give them a platform. Just bring them on, tell them how they started the business, and people can give promo offers and all that stuff. So, and it's super easy because they just sit down and press that button there. It's really not too hard.
I know. Well, it's a lot of time, podcast. There are lots of reasons why people don't do podcasts.
I've noticed so much, and I can tell immediately from the first 5 minutes of talking to a new customer, is
it gives you such a platform.
Well, yeah, it's that, but also social media in general, and even if you have a massive hole of opportunity where you're business, oh my God, you could be the first to do this. You'll tell immediately by saying the idea their psychological relationship with social media, because there's so much of your personal psychology tied up in video, images, all that kind of stuff, that you can completely hold back your business.
Just because you're like, don't want to go on.
Like I've said, our whole thing is helping businesses post like creators, right? So we're always going to go to how do we create you reaction videos, try not to laugh challenges, vlogs, podcasts.
Try not to laugh.
Yeah, like the fun stuff that creators do that helps them kick the ass of multinational corporations for free in their bedroom because they give people what they want, right? And I'm like, let's just do the same. It's super easy to do, super cheap, and people are going to love it.
And people love that about you.
Because it's behind the edit. But as soon as you say it, in my head, I'm buzzing because it's a golden opportunity. I'm like, I could be the first to get them to do this. It could be fucking groundbreaking. And then they're like, and I'm like, get out my Zoom call now.
Okay, thanks, bye.
No, I'm not like that. But like, you can tell immediately where I'm going to have an education journey, and we're going to have to start off with something very small, which is what basically every other social media company would do, which is what I don't really feel comfortable doing because I want to be groundbreaking immediately. But
this is a bad bit of advice. Yeah. Don't change, because everybody should change, grow, develop. But one thing that you should keep as part of you is that excitement and those ideas, because that's what made me think, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy knows what he's talking about. I was thinking, how does someone at 24 years old work with Barclays and work with all of, Southampton City Council? You worked with them on the City of Culture bid. Yeah. And you were, 23, 24 at the time? And so when I met you, I was like, I really don't, like, how has someone got to themselves to such a position in their career at this young age? Like, what has he done? So
having no life.
No, but I've also had no life, and I'm much older. And so I was like, what's this kid all about? And I came and I sat with you and we chatted for an hour. And very, very quickly it became apparent that you think differently to other people. But in such a beautiful way that people love your ideas, they absorb your ideas. And having that niche of posting like creators as a business, like I do a podcast like this, and it gets so much engagement.
You build so much trust.
Yeah.
You build so much trust.
In the industry now, there's people that recognise me and talk to me as if they know me because of the stuff I post and I put out.
Parasocial connection.
It's called parasocial connection, yeah.
And I talk about it all the time. I think a lot of it is... Well, again, maybe it's like then my naivety in how I'm prospecting leads, but I feel like over the years when I've always had this enthusiasm and energy, but you can only be shot down so many times to the point where I start to feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm just well, if you could have a podcast, and then they go, oh, I'm like, okay.
But every no is one step closer to a yes.
Because the thing is, it's not a no to working with us because they still have a need. It's more like the idea that would actually make a big difference is the thing that they're not comfortable doing and they don't have the budget for. And it's like that's the frustrating thing, because when we've got our hands on certain clients who've actually listened, so for instance, we work with a scaffolding company, Skill Scaffolding down the road, we were like, let's go hard on TikTok. Now, most people are like, what the fuck is a scaffolding company going to be doing on TikTok?
I bet it's funny.
They get hundreds of thousands of views.
No way.
And their account's only like 3 months old, like 4 months
old.
Wow.
And does that translate into business?
Yeah. They've already been invited on different podcasts. Like, it's really like, as a reputation thing, they're getting 10x the reach of even the biggest building providers.
Amazing.
Because they're not doing the same thing. And all we do is turn up, put a mic on them, and we go, so why are you doing that there, Dave? And he's like, oh, well, I'm putting this here because of this. And there's just a massive appetite for construction content on TikTok because no one sees into that world. It's very similar in aerospace or maybe even something like banking, right? No one ever just puts on a mic and shows it how it is. But vloggers
I think people
do.
are scared. I think people are scared of getting in trouble.
Well, I'm sure they are, especially in banking. Like in loads of other industries, like even in recruitment. Like if you mic'd up one of your team and just videoed them doing sales calls, and then after the sales call they just said why it went well, why it didn't, and then you flicked over to someone else and then they did it, and then you could give a tour around the office. That is such an entertaining vlog that you could take like 10 clips out of. That would all it would require is someone holding a camera to you like that.
And that's so true.
And
That like
it just changes the game because none of your competition are doing it, and that's what I fucking love to do. But I
I'm
don't get
like,
to do it
James,
enough.
you're giving me so many ideas.
I don't get to do it enough because not many companies are brave enough. So any of you out there, I seriously implore you, just do the things that others don't to succeed
Just
online.
film yourself doing silly stuff.
Yeah, but then we come back to the personal psychology thing, and then all of this potential, all this excitement, squashed in an instant because of what's up here.
But I also think that there is a fear. Like there's some people come up to me at aviation shows and they go, like, it's amazing that you do this podcast. Like, can I be on it? I'm like, yeah, of course, I'd love to come down. But actually, sometimes they then get cold feet, and the fear of coming and sitting and being themselves is terrifying. And, you know, putting themselves on a platform where they could look silly.
Spotlight's on you.
I always look silly, and I'm enjoying the ride, but not everybody does.
But that in itself is the practical output of authenticity. Like, people throw it around as a buzzword 24/7. What authenticity really is just showing up and not really giving a shit if you stumble over your words, or if you like say something, or if you swear on a podcast, or if that edit wasn't timed perfectly to a 0.3, or there was a misspelling on a subtitle. Like, when you have an open dialogue with an audience, so even if a massive consulting company, if you actually just started doing daily vlogs or you started doing podcasts, and then someone messes up, you're like, oh, sorry guys. And everyone's like, true, me too. Because that's relatable.
Yeah.
Creators have had intentional mistakes, and they leave outtakes in videos on purpose to build human relationships. No one understands it's happening, but that goes towards building the parasocial bond.
I'm actually going to just do something to do that because I haven't. Yeah, I've got to go in a minute because I've got a meeting at 3:30.
Ooh, look at that.
But that's like that time Ed Sheeran was sat on his phone going, "My missus is making me dinner."
Yeah. Yeah, but then we're all like, huh, my missus makes me dinner too. Or like, because,
yeah, everyone's like,
because if you're being seen through a device or a screen, there's this thing that like, oh, you're doing
like,
that thing and I'm the audience, right? No matter if it's someone extremely important, and this is where B2B get it wrong. B2B think if my audience is CEOs and CMOs, it has to be corporate, has to be perfect, has to be all this. They don't watch that shit when they get home. Who do you think they are? Like, they're not robots. Like, they go home and watch Top Gear and car reviews, or they go home and watch, like, makeup hauls or something. Like, they will do this. And if you do it in a B2B sense, you win.
Well, and the thing is, though, that's what's changing about our world. And for big banks, it's terrifying. Because, actually, that social pull that social collectives have can literally cripple banks now. If you look at, what is it? GameStop.
GameStop. Yeah.
Perfect example. Anyone just ask ChatGPT if you don't know the story.
GameStop.
But it's basically where a bunch of a social collective changed how the stock market.
Yeah. Didn't they just short GameStop stock? I'm pretty sure they have a documentary on Netflix about it.
Yeah. So just check it out. I don't know all the full details, but it's basically table flipping energy where big bankers lost billions.
We should do that to energy companies.
And, you know, it's a small collective. It's very Peter Pan, Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Robin Hood, I think, is, it's very Robin Hood. And so, check that out. But that's a societal change. Like, people don't care if you're a big bank anymore. It's actually the social collective and what's right, what's fair, what's wrong, what's sustainable. There's so many themes coming through that actually the old way of doing things is no longer relevant.
Yeah, and this is why I think even like if you're a medium business or a small business in a general industry that's always been dominated by like a big 2, 3, 4, maybe even just one, using the power of your media, you can be the only one anyone actually knows about, because you can appear as number one even if you're like number 25.
And you know, if you are competitive and you have ambition to get to number one, if you're perceived as number one, it's very, very quickly you then become number one. It's like a fake it till you make it.
Oh yeah, 100%. But it's all about that appetite for growth. Another thing I didn't think I'd encounter, and there's clips of me on the podcast talking about how I get it now, but like I didn't get how other businesses didn't want to grow. I couldn't physically comprehend it. Now I understand, because with growth comes stress. But like there was businesses like, oh my God, you're sat on a mountain of gold. Like just start picking up the pieces and put it in your pocket. That's all you need to do. And they were like, oh no, we're comfortable. And it used to drive me nuts. But actually I get it now. Sometimes an easy life is better. So you have to know what you want as a company, because social opens up so many doors and opportunities that even if you just wanted to do it casually, once it does start working, it will just flood things in, because it took us like a year and a half to get consistent leads. But after that, it doesn't stop. We've still got inbound today and I haven't done SEO for like a year.
Yeah.
But, you know.
People know you, like people really recognise you as a thought leader in socials, darling. I'm going to play to your ego. But I actually do have to go. So
yes, well, we'll wrap this one up then. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I'm going to really miss it until we can sit down again.
Yes, 100%.
Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.